Thank you. Hello, everybody. I lately changed my title again. So now it's actually A4 Community Integration Manager because we like to change titles and like to change names. Alrighty. So I want to talk shortly about myself. So I have started at the Lego Group actually 1st of March 2003. So it's quite some years ago. Worked in the legal department for a year, and then a colleague of mine sitting next to me in the legal department is actually the wife of my boss now. So my boss is Tormod Eskilsson, as you probably have heard that name before. He has been around for many years, and I got basically introduced back then to the A4 community because we had one guy, Jake McKee, in the US, and he was working with A-folds, and there were somebody missing in Europe, and actually that happened to become myself. So I worked a bit for the community team and part-time for brand retail back then for some time, and since 2005 I'm actually we're working full-time as the community manager for Europe. So started out very small, working only with the A-folds in the Netherlands and in Germany, and then it expanded quite aggressively also as the internet became very popular and a lot of more fan groups were actually started. 2012 there was a shift because we got another colleague on board, and then I was focusing more on Eastern Europe and Asia Pacific because there were areas which were not focused so much on in the beginning. So there was actually some time to refocus, to travel out there, to meet a lot of AFOLs, to make connections. Then in 2018, beginning of 2018, we actually changed again. So I was moving away from being a community manager, and then my title then was manager A4 networking events, but I was also responsible for working with the Lego brand retail, with Lego certified stores, working with the Lego house. So it was a lot of things happening. If you now are asking what is an A4 networking event, you are actually attending one right now. It's actually BrickCon is an A4 networking event. So it's events which are quite large in A4 participation and have a deep relationship with the Lego group. So it's a few North American conventions, it's Japan Brickfest, it's actually Paris de Cura Fan Weekend in Portugal, and it's Gerbeck Fan Weekend in Denmark right now. And then since September 2020, we changed the name again, so it's A4 Community Integration Manager. And also the area of responsibility changed a bit. Some facts. So I've participated, I stopped counting at some point, but I participated for sure in over 150 A4 driven events in 31 different countries over all these years. And it might be much more, but at some point, I tried to count, but it was at some point a bit impossible. I invented, or I started actually the Lego, back then it was called Lego, then it's now called Gerbeck Fan Weekend, which is probably the most international AFOL event in the world, happening approximately 1 hour drive away from Billund. I actually designed the Lego Luckbook program back then, many years ago, so some people of you might recognize that one. I also worked a lot on the main community support programs, including the former Hub event program, which we now call AFOL Networking Event Program, because we basically put a few activities together, or a few events together. And right now, the current role covers a bit about A4 networking event support and also program development, doing some A4 community relation towards the Lego house and other Billund stakeholders, which are, for example, the Lego campus, the new headquarter, but also, for example, Kirkby, which is a company which is basically investing the money of the Kirk Christiansen family. So they all are interested in working with AFOLs. And I'm also now focusing, or I will focus in my new role on Lego staff education, which means I will make sure that all relevant stakeholders around the globe actually know what an AFOL is and what the AFOL community is and what you can do with the AFOL community. Then I have a few pictures because I think a lot of text that's too boring. So you can see in the upper left corner, you can see my most favorite set actually. So space, love that. You can see a few other pictures from a few travels I had in the past. So, for example, the travel you see with Kjell and Jan Beyer and Mess Nipper, Tormod is on the picture that's upper right. So that's a lot of people together with AFOLs. That's actually at Tausendsteineland in Berlin, Germany. The middle picture in the upper line, that's actually from Bricks Cascade 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. And in the bottom line, we have a trip to Croatia with a few very, very nice guys there from Romania. The guy with the beard, that's actually the chief ferry, Kafka's Coin from Ferry Bricks. You might have heard about that. It's a charity giving Lego sets to children in hospital. And the other lovely guy is my former colleague Kim, who has been working with me also as a community manager. In the middle, that's actually from Comic-Con, or Anycom as they call it, in Hong Kong, where we had a designer and the Japanese Lego master builder on site. And the other picture on the bottom, that's probably the biggest Lego mosaic in the world, made in Lego House. It's actually around 165 square meters big. I think it was 2,900 something 32 by 32 base plates, if I remember correctly. So pretty large. So that's a really, really nice one. Then I surely want to touch the current situation in my areas I'm responsible for. So Lego House and Billund stakeholders, as I mentioned before, covers, for example, the Lego House, but also, as said before, the Lego Campus, which is our new global headquarter we are right now building in Billund, and also other areas of people in Billund who are interested in working with AFOLs. And we call it Billund. It theoretically could also be factory in Czech Republic or something like that. So it's more having AFOLs involved in Lego entities. So Lego House opened again after a long COVID pause in June 22nd. We postponed, unfortunately, the exchange of the MOCs in the Masterpiece Gallery and the World Explorer area to September 21. So that was a bit a bummer, but there was nothing to do, and we want to give the people who display that, the AFOLs who display there, a great experience. And this basically could not be done. Nobody could really travel. We were afraid of giving them, not the experience they deserve. Instead, we worked a lot on virtual guided tours in the Lego House. So we had the guided tour in the historical collection. We had lately the virtual AFOL day in Lego House. All has been a big success. We usually have had around 1,000 participants on each of these activities. So that was really, and worldwide, even people from Kazakhstan and Pakistan, and I have no idea where. I was not even aware there were AFOLs, but obviously AFOLs are everywhere. Right now, we're doing a Lego Certified Professional exhibition in the Kirby building, and there might be, I'm investigating some potential AFOL mock displays in the Lego campus. Then we have the AFOL networking event, like BrickCon is one of those. So many got canceled. In 2020, we basically started out with Bricks LA. I was traveling to in January, and that actually was my last event I have been to. That's really weird. I'm sitting home and not going to any of these events because nothing is happening. So that's feeling pretty weird, because usually I'm traveling to at least 6 to 8 events a year. So then Bricks Cascade, and after that it basically stopped. So on the other hand, of course, crisis burst creativity. So we see a lot of virtual AFOL networking events, like for example BrickCon, but also a lot of others did some. And this is, of course, it's not the same being virtual to an event and physical, but on the other hand, it also gives you some advantages to have virtual things. Like we had right in the hour before here, we had a kind of socializing hour with some people. And for example, we had Will Heron showing his house on camera with his Lego storage and all of that. So that was actually quite inspiring, and we would not see that if you would do a physical event. So it's new, different directions, but I hope for the future to probably see a physical and digital combination of events. We're also looking for new plans for 2021, and also looking into adding new events to the map. Then the Lego staff education, which is a new area for me. It's really right now at the beginning, but it's a very, very important area, because a lot of people inside the Lego company or inside the Lego group are not, they probably have heard about an AFOL, they probably slightly might know what that is, but not really have a clue on how to work with AFOLs, what are the rules, the regulations, what you can do, what you can experience, how can you do these things. So this is really important for us to get the people up to speed, to make sure that the people in the stores, that the people in the markets know their ambassadors that are representing the fan groups in the area. They know how to work with AFOLs. They know what AFOLs probably like, dislike. So that's really a big part. Will be a big part of my future workload. Really exciting. So I was so lucky to choose that myself. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then to not forget about it, because I was responsible until last month actually for the AFOL interaction at the Lego branded stores. And we call it Lego branded stores because it's Lego brand retail stores, which you have in North America. But for example, in South America, you have Lego certified stores, which are stores that are owned by a partner, but are fully branded. They look like Lego stores, but they are not owned by the Lego company. And these stores have, of course, had a challenge with the COVID-19 pandemic. So a lot of stores got closed. Some are still not open again. Others are back to normal. Like, for example, in China, we have now, I think, 200 stores. I think the anniversary was, or the 200 stores store was opened actually 1 or 2 days ago. So this is huge. And this is, of course, a very important area for us. So we try to mirror the activities we do in our own brand retail stores also to the Lego certified stores. So for example, we have the AFOL shopping day, or in North America, I think it's called AFOL appreciation day. We have the AFOL showcase program. We work with some digital stickers in the VIP program. So all of these things, I work with our stakeholders, our colleagues, to make sure that they understand all this. They see what might be interesting for AFOLs, and as a I would say as a success, at least for me personally, I feel we could implement the AFOL shopping day in Western Europe region, which is France, Italy, and Spain. And they have no retail stores in Spain and in Italy, a few in France, but all the stores now opened in Q3 and in Q4. They also the partner also asked for doing an AFOL shopping day. So it's quite a big success, and the AFOLs are of course tremendously happy to have this opportunity to join an AFOL shopping day and get a great experience in the store. So that's actually I would think it's a milestone there. But that is an area I will not work with in the future too much. Some other colleagues will take over that. Cool. That was what I wanted to share with you, and now I'm more than happy to hear some of your questions.
Great, thank you. We've got a few questions in the queue here.
Yeah.
This is Lauren. Do you think the Inside Lego tours will happen in 2021?
If that's a very good question. If I could,
assuming COVID goes away.
Yeah, or we find a vaccine. It's really difficult to say. Of course, we all want to make that happen, but as Skip also said in his keynote, and as I only can echo him, it is the most important that it's safety and everybody is healthy. And the Inside Tour lives a lot from being together, having a great time together, having a lot of Lego employees to join the group, and this is kind of not possible right now. And we as late as Thursday, I believe, I discussed that with the Lego House people, and the challenge is a bit that that Lego has also some very strict rules, and Lego is following very strictly the rules of the Danish government, and right now there's basically no opportunity to have larger gatherings very close together. So of course, if we find if the pandemic miraculously goes away, or we get a vaccine, or things are getting kind of back to normal, and flight traffic is back to normal, and people can actually come to Denmark, I think they will be the last to not reinstall it. But right now, I could not even do a guess.
No, that's totally understandable. Totally understand. Yeah. Let's see. Let me go to some of the next questions here. How is Lego pivoting to support the lugs and cons in the online COVID area? I see this is one good example. Are there any other examples that you going to do in the future, or is this similar to what you're going to be presenting to others?
Yeah, and that's something we of course working on right now, because we everybody got thrown a bit in this situation that suddenly all of these beloved things we all were doing, being together, enjoying the company of each other at conventions, at events, either locally in the country or international, this all disappeared from one day to another. So it's really difficult to kind of adjust that fast. Right now, actually, we were lucky that some A4 networking event owners and also some other A4s kind of started some virtual activities. And of course I spent a lot of time on getting colleagues engaged and getting colleagues lined up to join these activities, giving presentation, giving speeches, show our appreciation, being around, even as high up as the executive leadership team. We do that. But of course, we also still keep our physical support in the picture, but of course, doing virtual events and physical support, sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not so much needed. So that's still, but I'm trying to kind of, when the year's over, or let's see, when the last A4 networking event has been done, I will investigate a bit more, okay, what actually worked, what did not really work so much, what could be opportunities. Also, we will have a discussion round for sure in the A4 networking event owners cycle to make sure what they feel about it. But it's kind of it's all very new to everybody. So I not had a concept in the drawer saying like, oh wow, suddenly we all need to go to virtual. Let's take that plan. Not really, but that will probably come. And as I mentioned in the introduction, also I hope that we probably see, even when the pandemic is gone, we see probably a combination of physical and virtual event to be even more inclusive to the people who are probably not able to travel all the way from somewhere in the world to somewhere else in the world to join a convention, either because they basically cannot travel, or they don't have the money, or don't have the time, or whatever reason that could be. So I think it would be cool if we see at some point a combination. I only think virtual cons, it's a lot, and some people are more into it and other people are less into it. So I think that's also personal preferences. But it's for me, it's a very, very cool activity, and I really like it.
All right. Going into more of the Lego house tour, are you guys going to do another round of a virtual Lego house tour?
We are definitely discussing that. Yes, I think it's kind of let's put it like that. Everything online seems sometimes so easy. But I'm sure if I would ask you, or if I would ask Stephen or Nicole about how it is to make a virtual version of BrickCon, you would say like, wow, that's quite a workload. And the same it is with us doing virtual tours, because you see the host and you see probably somebody in the chat, and that's it. But there's so many people involved. But we have seen it is very popular, and we have recognized that. And luckily we also have a very active tour and events managers at Lego House, and also the leadership team of the Lego House is very supportive and very interested in doing these activities. So I would definitely think we will see more of that, but we not have a concrete plan. You know, the next thing that is coming up is actually the Christmas party in Lego House, which is usually a virtual, a physical activity, and we still hope, you know, you never give up the hope. We still hope for doing it virtual, physical, but you know, if you would ask me now, I will probably say that might not happen. We never know. Right now, we still keep it, and we cross fingers, of course, or we cross everything we can actually cross. But let's see. And otherwise, there will also be hopefully there will be for sure virtual activity then. But let's hope for the physical one. But definitely, we see it's very popular to do virtual activities in Lego House, and Lego House is a great place. And of course, you need to experience it physically, but virtually, it gives you still some insights and a great activity. So yes, we are looking more into these things, definitely.
All right. Question about Lego online communities. You see a trend now of more Lego online communities forming because of the pandemic, And what date is considered an official start date?
Official start date for?
Or like the Lego, like an R lug, instead of an R lug, it'd be in virtual lug, where you have multiple people in a lug. Or is Lego
Yeah,
looking at that?
you know, I think if you want to become recognized, you actually you need to have a year of existence. So that would actually take you a year from now, if you start now, to become recognized as a group we can work with, because there need to be a certain activity, there need to be a certain amount of people, there need to be a certain time to make sure that we have seen, over all these years we have seen groups that start out and they look very active and they say, hey, we do great stuff, and then they disappeared after 3 months. So we have certain rules in place to have groups to become recognized. Um, I don't, unfortunately, I think we see not very much activity physically around. Definitely there is more online activity, but a lot of groups are not necessarily geared to a lot of online activity, because being an AFOL, it's a physical thing. You want to sit together, you want to exchange ideas in person, having a drink, having a chat. But of course the online communities are getting more active. I know that some of the bigger groups are doing weekly meetings actually to include their members, but this is also my personal experience. Also, if you get too many people in a meeting, it also gets more difficult. Some people get more silent, other people are constantly talking. I think it's a bit a challenge for the luck life in general. But of course they also turn more to online meetings, definitely. But I would not necessarily say we see it grow right now, but we probably might see next year.
Okay, so would the R lugs want to be more digitally active instead of physical in that respect? It's kind of it's a different question, but along the same
Yeah,
line.
yeah. The ones that are, and unfortunately, I think we see not too many virtual events in the luck groups, because I would love to see more virtual events, and I would love to see if I or a colleague could join virtually, be around, and even if it's only for half an hour or something, to basically spend some time here and there. But that is something we not really see too much right now. At least it's not coming to our attention. So of course, if anybody is planning some more virtual activities with a bigger group of luck members, reach out to your ambassador, and then let your ambassador reach out to us. So we probably have it on the agenda or on the calendar, or we are aware of that. But we see some groups are doing more virtual things, because they miss basically the interaction. So they do virtual things to the extent it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, or is Lego? This is kind of along the same line. Is Lego taking into account the recognitions for the lugs with the pandemic situation, that they're not going to be able to meet some of their requirements to maintain their
Uh,
status, or is
Yeah, of
that
course.
being considered?
No, of course we are trying to.
Okay,
Everybody's aware of the situation, so of course we
no,
are.
I
We
understand.
are. We are not running hard on the requirements and saying like, hey, you not did your 3 physical meetings, you out. Definitely not. No. Of course, everybody's very aware of the situation, and we are making sure that everybody that we can keep the people as happy as possible, and still working on support, and still working on luck bulk, and still working on all of these things. But of course, it is tremendously difficult if you have a big luck bulk order pending and you get whatever €5 pellets shipped to your home. How on earth would you sort that with not being able to meet with your fellow members? So I think there are a lot of obstacles you see here, and um, nobody had probably ever thought that we will end up in a situation like this. So yes, of course we are large, definitely.
All right. Let me go through the list here. One about the support for the lugs. It feels that Lego's support of the lugs and events they would hold has been shrinking a little bit lately. Do you have any information about why, or is it just the level of support just going down a little bit from what was done in the past?
No, I think the challenge is a bit that we got a bit hit by reality. We have done a lot of things in the past, and we have been very flexible with the support, because we had a lot of options we were pursuing and we were using. The problem is that as wider you go, as broader global you go, and as bigger the amount of support grows, you run into other issues, which we as relatively small department in the whole Lego machine, and of course we have people who work with the support all the time, but still they also need to work with their stakeholders in shipping and packaging and all of that. And we ran into some compliance issues. We ran into some custom issues. So basically you cannot ship all goods to everywhere. Like if you want to ship, before we, for example, used something we call playbrick boxes, which were basically boxes of randomly mixed bags of elements. The problem is you have no list of material, like we call it BOM, bill of material, which is every SKU, every set has a BOM, so it's exactly specified which elements are in which set. But for a playbrick box, you cannot do a list of content. And if you then ship that if you ship that inside European Union, let's say from Denmark to Germany, that's fine because there's no customs. But if you ship that from Denmark to the US or to China, customs will stop it and say like, okay, what's in there? It's like, we don't know. Okay, then you will not get that in this country. And we ran into challenges like that more often, because when we only send it to one group or two groups, it was obviously somehow mainly under the radar. But if you send it to, let's say, 100 groups, and out of these 100 shipments, 80 shipments got stuck in customs and you cannot get them out, then you of course need to change something. And what we see now regarding support is basically what we can do. So we can treat all groups the same, because we can also not say, hey, because you are a group in Germany, we ship you all these cool things and we ship you all the same, all these really nice stuff, and oh, you're a group in China, oh, sorry, you only get this. That's also not working. So therefore it might look a bit like that support has changed, and it has changed, but this is not that we said we want to change it. It's more like that the outside told us you need to change it, otherwise your support will go nowhere.
Okay.
Hope that answers the question. But we, of course, we are aware that the community loves the offers we had for some years ago. And I was, I was putting all these offers in place, and I was fighting very hard for that we had these offers. It's not that we lighthearted said like, okay, let's change everything. But the problem really is that it not helps us to get things into a custom warehouse somewhere in the world. We want to get the stuff to the group and not to a customs warehouse where it's then stuck, and then we probably wait several weeks until we probably have the necessary papers and probably get it released or get it shipped back or whatever happens. This is not working, and that helps nobody.
Okay. This is a question about the Masterpiece Gallery. I'm not sure if you can answer it, but do you expect the Masterpiece Gallery models to change in 2021? If the pandemic continues to be a concern, are you going to change it, or are you going to leave it, or what's your idea so far?
Right now, of course, we are planning very much on to change it, and we are, it's still almost a year from now, and let's hope for the best that the pandemic it will not go away. I think we all agree on it will not go away, but on the other hand, either we need to live with it and kind of adapt some new rules, or we somehow find a vaccine, and then we probably all can go a bit more back to normal. But of course, the goal is to make sure to exchange it, but also, as I said before in the intro, on the it needs to also be a good experience for the people who are displaying in the Masterpiece Gallery. The Masterpiece Gallery is not a place where we basically say, hey, ship us your models, and we basically put them, and then that's it, and thank you for doing this, and have a great day. You really get something out of it. You get to build on. You get taken care of. You will have a great time there. We want to make sure that we give you fantastic experience. You will meet your fellow Masterpiece Gallery exhibitors. You will probably meet some of our higher ranking colleagues. You will basically have a great time. So it's also a big experience for the people. And we really don't want to lack that experience and you know, disappoint the people and saying like, hey, we only, you know, take your models and that's it. So therefore we want to make sure we can deliver the best possible experience to the people who display in the masterpiece gallery. So I hope, but no guarantee. Nobody can give a guarantee now, I think. But that's the plan. The plan is, yes, we exchange next year in September.
Great. Sounds good to me. I'd love to be there. So let's see. Hopefully next September I will be, or whenever it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is kind of a pretty broad question. So I don't know how you'll be able to answer it, but what do you want to see more from the fans? What do you want to provide more to adult fans? It's kind of a two-part question.
So what I want to see more from the fans, and what the fans should get more provided from the Lego Group.
Yeah. So it's a pretty broad question.
You know, what I would like to see more from the fans, it's probably of course, a lot of things, and I could go on for the next 3 hours probably, but we don't have the time. But I think a crucial thing would be being more outspoken, probably. So basically, talk to the ambassador. Let the ambassador know if there's something not working, but also let the ambassador know if something is working really great. And then the ambassador need to convey the feedback to us, because we always want to make sure that we close the feedback loop somehow. And we try it from our side, but it's also very important that the community tries it from their end, because otherwise we are fighting probably very hard for things which at the end the community probably not even values that much. So we probably spend time wrong. And I think that is the worst thing we can do, because we are a small team. We are not too many people. We all are limited on time, because we also have a family or some private life, or we cannot work 24 hours. So I think what is very important, I think, it's really convey your message to your ambassador, that the ambassador can convey your message to us. If you have a missing piece or something you are not happy with regarding a Lego set, call consumer service. Very important, because then consumer service can log that into a system, and this information goes to our perceived quality department, and then they can do something about it. If they not get the information the right way, if you can't, I have a perfect example for you shortly. It's kind of, some years ago we had this challenges that we had Technic sets where we had big tires in. And then if we ship these sets, the mailman was probably like shaking it or whatever he's doing with it, or throwing it, I have no idea. And these tires were actually throwing around the box and were destroying the building instruction, and also having the stickers to stick everywhere in the box, but not on the sticker sheet. So people called me and sent me emails and said like, wow, that's really bad. That's super bad. You need to do something about it. And I was, I got really angry about it, because a lot of people contacted me. I was running into the perceived quality department, spoke to our director of perceived quality and saying like, Bjarke, you need to do something about it. Really bad thing, bad experience. He was looking into a system and saying like, oh yeah, we sold, I have no idea, now I'm making a number up because it's so many years ago. He said like, oh, we sold 10,000 copies of this set, and like 3 people called in. I was like, okay. So he was like, what should we do about it? It's like, So it's really important. And then later on, luckily, I got people convinced to call in, and I also made a research, and I basically sent a message out to the community to say like, hey, if you have really issues with that, send me pictures and all of that. So I made a big report. And at the end, the outcome was that we now put foil around, you might have noticed foil around the building instruction and the sticker sheets, so that they are safe in the box. And it was not a big investment. Of course, if you produce a lot of boxes, it still costs you a lot of money, but it's not a huge investment. But if we not have the numbers and the proof that there's really a problem, it will not happen. So the wish from the community, among a lot of other wishes, of course, would be probably, being more, tell us more, or tell your community, your ambassador more, what you need, what you want, what your experience is, what you think is good, what you think is bad, so that the message can get to us, that we can get a better picture. What we should do for the community, I think we're doing a lot for the community. Of course, we can always get better. So I think I would like to see more dialogue with the community. either in virtual meetings like this, but also doing virtual meetings with the ambassadors, involving the community more in activities, having the markets more to recognize that there is actually a community they can interact with, they can work with. The community has a tremendous amount of knowledge and resources and interest. So it's super inspiring for a lot of other people. So having this connection made, I think that is something we should work much more on. We are working much more on, and I think that is something we can give back to the community.
All right. Couple questions regarding AFOLs and lugs. In your opinion, this is a two-parter. So in your opinion, what are the traits that make a good AFOL lug? And do you see some other countries and regions in the world that are better at this? And if so, why?
Oh, that's a tricky question.
I think get any one region better than another, but there's some ideas in other regions that may work in others.
I think that depends a lot on people. I don't think there's a region where you have all lugs are great and other regions where the lugs are not so great. Definitely not. I think it depends a lot on groups that are, if you have people who are very resourceful and engaging as let's say the leaders or the lead AFOs or however you want to call them, these groups tend to being more engaged, being more happy, being more open, being more inclusive, being more active. And if you have, of course, and that, it all comes with the level of resources the people who are participating and driving put into it. And I think that is, it's your hobby, and some people have more time to put into their hobby, and some people have less time to put into their hobby. And it's probably with every group or every club that you have groups which are working better because they are either people who really spend all the time they probably not even have into it and saying like, hey, I really would like to drive this further on, and it's my hobby, it's my passion, I want to make this blossom. And others saying like, yeah, okay, I want to have a group and we want to meet, but then, oh yeah, I'm busy with work, I'm busy with other things, and that can happen. And so I think it comes down to a lot of people. So they're not specific. Some regions where it's better, where it's not so good, and the great luck. Of course, I think the level of activity and the level of engagement is for me very important, because you can have a very, very big luck, but the level of engagement is fairly low, and then it's probably not as appealing if you would have a smaller group, but everybody's very active. So I think the level of engagement, the level of activity, that's probably the two biggest things for me.
All right, great answer. Along the same lines, but regarding AFOL conventions, in your opinion, what's missing from AFOL conventions, and what are some of the best experiences at cons that you've had?
It's and now when we talk conventions, of course, it's very much the North American way of doing it, because if you look at a convention or at an event we have in Europe, it's different, because you are having these keynotes, you are giving these prizes, you are doing these ceremonies. And I think virtual, it's probably not so well working, but physically I think I love it. I think that's cool, because especially these where everybody is in the same room, that is always very important for me, because I feel a convention or a large event should be very inclusive. Everybody should be there. Everybody should experience things together, having fun, enjoy. Because what I usually not like so much about events is if things getting very small into, smaller groups are doing smaller things, because then it's kind of, okay, why are you going to a large event if you anyway want to split up only in small groups, or want to stay in your cycle of people you always stay in? That's kind of, what is the purpose then of spending the money to travel and the time to be there? So for me, it's kind of, I love this experience of all in the room, all get this experience of, we are big together, we have a great time together, we enjoy each other's company, and we all enjoy this hobby. So that is what makes me always very, very happy and and is a great experience. So that is what I really love, and what I think is a fantastic thing.
Great. Let's see here. Was there any regarding AFOL shopping days? I know a lot of them are physical at the stores, but is there any plans for maybe virtual ones? Or like myself, I'm like 9 hours away from a store. So
yes, exactly, and that is something that actually, of course, came to our attention, that this is a challenge. Either you are far away or you basically cannot go there because of whatever reason. I raised the idea with our shop at home department. I think right now we will not necessarily see it this year because they have a lot of obstacles, and there are a lot of challenges also logistic wise, and all of that, and how you would handle that, and would there be then how would you limit, and who is all doing all this. But they were not uninterested in that idea. Let's put it like that. So they were the response was surprisingly positive, I would say. So I was like, wow, okay, I get an answer, and it's they show some interest. So I cannot tell you, I cannot give you any date, or I cannot give you any details or anything, because that's not existing right now. But it's delivered. The message is conveyed. The people who are in charge of that are aware of it, and that's, I think, already a step forward. And then we will see how it develops. But I think it would be a really, really good idea.
okay. Along the same lines about the shop at home, the shop.lego.com, the pick a brick wall. Since we're constrained of going to the pick a brick wall at the stores, is there possibility of expanding the bricks and pieces part of it to say, oh, I need 2,000 of these pieces. Can I buy 2,000 of them, or buy a box of them at a little more bigger discount than what the pieces and bricks is offered at the store?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's definitely also something of course, we have bricks and pieces, and we have the possibility you can buy larger amounts, but of course it costs some money, and it's of course also logistic wise probably a bit difficult. But that is also because our back-end process is probably not geared to the amount of what we actually would like to see, and it's a complicated process. It's not, selling loose bricks is online is not necessarily our main business compared to selling sets. So I think it is a longer way to go there, but it's definitely not given up, and we keep on mentioning that there are the AFOLs. You see, if you only long enough mention things, you see suddenly you have an AFOL product line. Things are moving in the right directions. You see more and more big sets coming, which are really aimed at AFOLs. I think now we really see. Oh, if you see the idea sets, it's you cannot even imagine that 5 years ago nobody would imagine to see something like that. So I think it's really it takes some time, and everybody got very overwhelmed with the situation of not being able to do things physical. But I think we learned a lot from that, and I think we will hopefully see some more digital approaches in the future.
Great. Let's see, is there any more regarding social media, specifically Instagram and Twitter, of Lego actually following people back? Because we have, according to this question, that there's about 6.2 million followers on Instagram and 736,000 followers on Twitter, but they're only following a handful of people back. Is there a need to expand that or get more active in those roles? Or is that something that you can pass along, that we're interested in being more active and having that more active?
And that's really a question I cannot answer, but I definitely can pass it along. Okay. So I will do that, because the SoMe team, yeah, I'm not sure actually about their strategy. But I will definitely give it to them. So let them know that this is on the agenda for the AFOs.
So
Okay,
we
great.
have about 3 minutes left in the session today. So I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Thank you.
Okay, there's a good one here is what are some of your favorite Lego memories?
Oh my God.
One of the good ones to end on.
That's really difficult to tell in 3 minutes, because I could tell that for 3 days or something. Of course, in all these years there have been so fantastic memories, and I probably already forgot about the most fantastic memories. But it is, you know, let's say Asia has been always very close to my heart after being responsible for that market for a while, because it's so different from other areas, because the people are extremely busy. They're working so many hours, they're probably even sleeping under their desk instead of going home. But and having very small flats, having no space for their Lego. But you would think they had no space for their Lego, but they try to make stuff, and they put it into the smallest area, and it's so different. I actually, yesterday we ended our team meeting, and funny enough, I also told a little story, so I can probably repeat it here. So when I was the first time traveling to South Korea, it was actually very inspiring, because we had a lot of members in fan groups there, but it was really when we rented a small cafe, and I was working with our local shop at home team in South Korea. So some of my colleagues were there, and we were standing in the cafe, and it was time that the people should come, and nobody came. We were like, that's very weird. Where are all these people? And then I went in front of the door of this cafe and looked around, and I saw people, passing by, and it was kind of the same people passing by all the time. I was like, this is very weird. Why are these the same people passing by the door? And then at some point I basically made a step forward, and I got in the way of some of these people and said, like, are you here for the Lego gathering? And they're like, oh, Lego, yes. And they came, they had kind of suits, or they had kind of jackets on, and then as soon as they got in, they basically took their jackets off, and they had all Lego t-shirts below, and they were like, wow, that's so great. They even brought mocks, but they had them in their business suitcases, and so, because it seemed it is a very conservative country, and if people would probably work at a bank, and the customers would figure out they will play with children toys, they will probably feel this is weird. So, but the people were as excited, or even more excited, than other AFOs I met before. But it was so funny to have this experience of really, you really need to go out and drag the people in, because they were kind of, oh my God, I should not go in there. So there was a lovely experience, because they were so warm and helpful and happy, and that was great. So now, of course, I know a lot of people in South Korea, so fantastic experience.
Well, thank you so much, Jan, for that. We really appreciate your time. I hope everybody enjoyed this session.
Great to be here. Thank you.